So the first thing that we're going to do is to open up Terminal. So if you don't remember how to do that, just simply go to Spotlight Search. So you can click it over here, or you can simply hit Command Spacebar. That's the default setting for bringing up Spotlight. Alternatively, you can just go into your Applications folder and you'll be able to find it there as well. But in Spotlight, I'm going to search for Terminal, and here is my brand new Bash shell, and you can see it is a Bash shell because it tells you so up here. So the first thing that you might notice is that my preferences or my display or the skin on my terminal might look different from yours. So if you want to change it to whatever you like, then you can simply head over to Preferences and change it inside Profiles. Now I have it this green on black just because I do a lot of development at night and it helps my eyes and it helps me going to sleep afterwards. And also there's the added benefit of when you're sitting in Starbucks and doing a lot of bash scripting, people look at you really funny, like you're going to hack into their phone or something. And if you really want to take it to the extreme and you've never seen this website called hackertyper.com, then you can actually pull it up on your browser and you can basically just bash the keys and you look like you're writing some insane piece of code. This is actually part of the Linux kernel in case anybody's interested, and it's written in the C programming language. So that also is something that you can impress your friends. Now, coming back to our actual lesson, let's talk about the first command that we're going to learn today, which is ls, which stands for list. And this lists all the items inside a particular directory. So you can see the location of where you are by whatever shows up after the colon. So at the moment, this tilde shows me that I'm in my user directory. So that in the Finder world is basically here. So for example, if we go back. So the root or the highest level in the hierarchy is your Macintosh hard drive. And then the next one is your users folder. And on this computer, my username is Angela Yu. And when you see that tilde sign, you are at this level. You are inside this folder right now. So if I wanted to list all the items that are inside that folder, then I simply write the ls command and hit enter. You can see it prints out all of the folders and files. So I've only got folders inside my root directory, and you can see that it's exactly the same as what you see in Finder. Now this is the location that you're taken to by default when you open up your terminal. This is the starting point. Now what if you don't want to be inside this folder? What if you want to navigate to a different directory, right? Say for example, if I wanted to go into my documents and I want to go into learn, and I've got this folder called languages, and right now I'm learning German and the International Phonetic Alphabet, in case anybody's interested. So how do I get myself from here all the way inside here? Well, this is where the change directory or the cd command comes in handy. So we know that we are here right now because of the tilde sign. Let's navigate one level down. Let's go into our documents folder. So I can simply write cd documents. Now I can type out the entire thing myself, but as a developer, we're always looking for lazier ways of doing things and faster ways of doing things. So if you start typing doc and you hit tab, you can see that the terminal will autofill the remainder of your folder name. Now you need enough letters for it to know what you're talking about. So for example, if I just wrote DO, then it will tell me that there's documents and downloads. Which one do I want? So if I add a W and then I hit tab, then it knows that it can only be downloads, for example. Okay, so let's change directory to documents. And you can see that the location has changed. This directory name after the colon is now saying documents. So that means I am currently inside here. I am at this level. So if I wanted to go into this level, I would have to navigate into the Learn folder. So if you're following along, what would you type? Give it a go. Similar as what we did before, we're simply writing cd learn and hit enter. So now we're inside Learn. Now it's a little bit tedious to navigate through directories one by one by one, right? So if we already knew that we want to go all the way into here, then we can actually specify the entire path to get there. So for example, right now I'm inside learn. So let's go back to our root. So I can say cd tilde and hit enter. And now I'm back at my root directory, which is here. So let's map out the path that I need in order to get to here. I need to go into documents and then learn and then languages. So I can simply write cd documents learn languages. And now if I hit enter, I am inside languages, which is over here. And that's a lot more succinct and a lot quicker than going through the directories one by one. Another really time-saving feature of Terminal is the up and down buttons. So if you wanted to use the last command that you typed, all you have to do is just hit the up button. And you can see that I can use that change directory command again. But in my case, I actually want to use the ls command. So obviously it's easier to simply type out ls rather than cycling through all those, but I just want to show you that you can actually go through your entire history of previous commands and you can then hit enter to execute it. And you can see that inside the languages folder, I have two other folders called German and IPA. So you can tell that we are at this level in our directory. Now, sometimes typing out an entire path like this might seem like it's a lot of work. So I want to show you another neat trick that you can use when you have the Finder open and you just want to navigate to a deep directory without having to type out the entire path. So let's cd back to here, to our root directory for your user. So do you remember how to do that? If you do, go ahead and do it now. So I'm going to cycle back. And I found it. It's the cd tilde. And if I hit enter, I am now back at my user's root directory. So now I want to show you a different way of getting to languages without having to type out the entire path. So the way to do that is simply to write cd space, and then all I'm going to do is just click and drag this directory into the terminal. And you can see that it prints the entire path to this folder. So if I now hit enter, then I am again inside this languages folder over here. And that might, in some cases, be a faster way for you to navigate in your directories. Now, once we're inside this languages folder, how do we change directory back to the parent folders? How do we go backwards in this path? We're still going to be using the change directory or the cd command. And then after a space, we're simply going to type 2 dots. And this takes us back one level. So from languages, I'm now in the learn folder. So I'm now here. And I can keep doing this until I'm back at my root directory right here. So it took me 3 cd dots to get back to my root. And the reason why you might want to do this is because say if I was inside the languages folder, so I'm now at the languages directory, and I wanted to navigate now to my music directory, for example. I can't simply write cd music. That's not going to work because it's looking inside this languages folder. It's looking to go forwards. So if I wanted to go backwards in the directory, I either have to specify the entire file path. So that would be cd/, which is my Macintosh hard drive, users/Angela/music. So I would have to specify the entire file path to go backwards. And I can only specify just the name of the folder if I'm going forwards in terms of this hierarchy. So another thing that's really useful is that sometimes your screen will get clogged up with loads of commands, and you can simply write the command clear to clear your entire screen. So right now I'm still inside the music folder, but instead I want to be inside root. So the next thing I want to show you is that if you've been used to a graphical user interface, and this is something that people tend to request. So for example, let's say we're going to use the cd command again, and we're going to go into languages. Now, what if I wanted to edit this at some point in the middle of this entire command? Because you can see that if I click at any of these places, it doesn't really do what you expect it to do in a graphical user interface, right? Namely, allowing you to edit these parts. Your cursor is here and you can only type where your cursor is. So you can of course use the left arrow to go all the way back, but this is obviously very time consuming, especially if your command is very long. So a neat trick is holding down the Option or the Alt button, and it gives you this little plus sign, and now you can click on one point in your command and you can now move the cursor to that position. So that's quite a neat trick as well. Now, for people who have come from a long history of using graphical user interfaces, such as, your Mac OS or your Windows, having these little tricks like the CD and then dragging in the folder or using the Option click can be quite neat. But if you are a puritanical command line user, then ideally you're aiming for never having to touch the mouse. And you can do most things that you would want to do with the mouse very easily and quickly just using your keyboard. So, for example, if I wanted to go to the beginning of this line, then I can simply hold down Control and press A. So my cursor is now at the beginning. And if I hold down Control and press E, then I go to the end of my command line. Now you've already seen that I can cycle through my previous commands by using the up and down button, but what if I wanted to clear this current command without executing it? So to do that, you can again hold down Control and hit the U button, and that clears your entire line. So you can write a new command. So I've only shown you some of the most common shortcuts that I use on a day-to-day basis, but I'm just scratching the surface here. There's so many really useful shortcuts that you can tap into, and I'll link you to a resource that I like to use, which is a Terminal Mac cheat sheet, and it's hosted on GitHub, so you can have a look at it. And there's Polish, Portuguese, Vietnamese versions of it that you can read, and it's got a lot more shortcuts. So obviously, if you're new to the command line, then it might be a good idea to integrate these, only a few at a time, because you can't learn all of these shortcuts in one day, and it'll be quite overwhelming to do that. But this is a good reference if you want to look at more things that you can do quickly inside the command line just by using your keyboard. So in the next lesson, we're going to cover directories, making directories, and secret folders. So I will see you there.